Hello and welcome back. This is my second lecture on nutraceuticals. I am Aarti Patel from LJ Institute of Pharmacy. Today I will focus on the classification of nutraceuticals. Nutraceuticals are broadly classified in two categories: potential nutraceuticals and established nutraceuticals. Established nutraceuticals are those which are scientifically proven, and potential are those their scientific proof is still needed. So most of the nutraceuticals come under potential nutraceuticals category. We still need to prove their nutraceutical benefits. We will classify the nutraceuticals according to our syllabus need, mainly those nutraceuticals which are used in the treatment of these four categories of diseases: irritable bowel movement, cardiovascular diseases, diabetes and cancer. So according to our syllabus need, we will classify the nutraceuticals which are used in these four categories of diseases, either in the treatment or in the prevention of these diseases. So according to our need, the nutraceuticals obtained from natural food source can be divided in 7 different categories. One is dietary fibers, second probiotics, third prebiotics, fourth polyphenolic compounds obtained from natural sources, fifth antioxidant vitamins which are obtained from natural sources, polyunsaturated fatty acid containing foods and spices. So the first category we will see in detail, that is dietary fibers. So the dietary fibers are chemically carbohydrate polymers with a degree of polymerization not less than 3. The dietary fibers neither get digested nor absorbed in the small intestine. The characteristics of dietary fibers, if we see, they are food material obtained from mainly plants. They are non-starch polysaccharides. They are non-hydrolyzable by enzymes secreted by digestive juices, and they are digested by microflora in the gut. So if we see changes of structural properties of dietary fibers during digestion, in the mouth there will be no change in the dietary fibers. In stomach, certain types of dietary fibers will get dissolved in water and form a jelly-like structure. In small intestine and large intestine, certain amount of and certain types of dietary fibers will get fermented with the gut microflora, and some types of dietary fibers will not get fermented at all, and the non-fermentable dietary fibers will come out with the stool. So if we see dietary fibers, we can divide them chemically in 7 different categories like celluloses, hemicelluloses, gums, pectins, lignins, resistant dextrins and resistant starches. So these are the categories of dietary fibers chemically. We will see either they are from all these 7 groups of fibers. Okay, so let us see. Further, we can classify dietary fibers depending upon their water solubility. So broadly we can divide the dietary fibers in 2 different categories. One is water insoluble dietary fibers and second is water soluble dietary fibers. Both are collectively known as non-starch polysaccharides. First category we will see insoluble dietary fibers. Insoluble dietary fibers are mainly either they are celluloses, hemicelluloses or lignins. They get fermented to a limited extent in the colon, and most of them are non-fermented and come out as it is in the stool. Let us see the health benefits of insoluble dietary fibers. They are having dual effect on the intestinal tract. One, they increase the bulk of stool, and second, they affect the duration of intestinal transit. They decrease the intestinal transit time and further helps the stool come faster, and it helps in the mainly constipation. So insoluble dietary fibers action is by both way, by increasing the bulk of stool and by affecting the duration of transit. They help in the constipation. So ultimately we can say that the insoluble dietary fibers cleanses the inner walls of small intestine, large intestine and mainly colon. And by brushing effect we can see here in the image the foods which are rich in insoluble fibers are whole grains, outer skins of vegetables and fruits, nuts and seeds, mainly outer skin, legumes which are the outer skin, the whole legumes are mainly rich in insoluble fibers. The second category we will see, that is soluble fibers. So soluble fibers are mainly of beta glucans, pectins, gums, mucilages and hemicelluloses. These are the 5 different chemical categories of soluble fibers. So how the soluble fibers act in our body. So they have bulking and viscosity producing capacities. These are the 2 different capabilities of soluble fibers which makes them very useful. So they get dissolved in water and form a gel, and ultimately they increase the viscosity. Ultimately, by increasing the viscosity, it retards the gastric emptying time of the stomach and it creates the feeling of satiety. It gives the person the feeling of satisfaction. So it will help in reducing overeating. It gets fermented in colon by gut bacteria and it binds the stool and inhibits non-propulsive colon contraction. Let us see the health benefits of soluble dietary fibers. They are used in irritable bowel movement and GIT disorders. In colon, it increases fecal bulking, as we have already discussed, due to increased water retention. It absorbs the water. It increases transit time and fecal bacterial mass by fermentation by themselves. So they will get fermented with the gut bacteria and it will increase the fecal bacterial mass. It promotes the growth of bifidobacteria in the gut especially. We will see in detail about the gut bacteria in probiotics. The other health benefits of soluble dietary fibers are major. As we can see, they help from the protection, they prevent the stroke in the body. So they protect our body from the stroke. Secondly, the soluble dietary fibers have major role in the cardiovascular diseases. It decreases the hypertension, it decreases the blood cholesterol level and ultimately prevents the cardiovascular disorders. Other benefits we can see in diabetes, the soluble dietary fibers play an important role by slowing down the breakdown of carbohydrates and their absorption, and ultimately they control the blood sugar level. They also prevents the gallstones and kidney stones. The soluble dietary fibers also help in weight control, as they are giving the feeling of satisfaction very fast by absorbing the water and making the food more viscous. It gives the satisfactory effect and the patient will eat less. It will at least stop the overeating. The foods which are rich in soluble fibers are legumes like peas, beans, dried lentils. Fruits mainly are rich in soluble fibers. The grains like oats and other grains like guar gum, psyllium, the husk of psyllium, and leafy vegetables are rich in soluble fiber, and certain vegetables which are not leafy but they are rich in soluble fiber. So collective benefits, if we see the insoluble dietary fibers and soluble dietary fibers. The soluble fibers, as we have discussed, they absorb water like a sponge and thus softens the stool and helps the waste material move through the body more quickly. Insoluble dietary fibers are bulky fiber and they act as a scrub brush pushing the food along the colon so that constipation cannot occur. So both the fibers collectively have more benefits, especially for intestinal diseases, as we will see here. They will help in prevention of irritable bowel syndrome and colon cancer. The regular intake of dietary fibers, soluble and insoluble both, will reduce the diverticular disease, which is a very painful inflammation of the bowel caused by strain on the bowel, and it reduces the fiber intake, reduces almost 40% occurrence of the diverticular disease. It also prevents hemorrhoids. The dietary intake of fibers also prevents hemorrhoids, and by preventing the constipation, it will prevent the hemorrhoids. So we can see dietary fibers have a very important effect, especially on GIT disorders. Now let us focus on potential negative effects. If excess of dietary fiber is taken, that will lead to reduced absorption of vitamins, minerals, proteins and calories. They will also cause diarrhea. So we should limit the dietary intake of fibers. The recommended dietary fiber intake is 20 to 35 gram per day for adults, and for children 14 gram per 1000 kilocalories of intake. These are the references you can go through for detailed understanding. Thank you for listening my lecture. Subscribe our YouTube channel Pharma Ignite for further videos. Thank you very much.